Come on. What more interesting, exciting, urgent luncheon appointments do you have? Evening all, welcome back to the channel. So you will notice we are in the fair Climbs of Squelchy Gleba. The reason we're here is we're going to have a little look at something interesting. So one of the things I get asked all the time, and by all the time I mean twice, is how do I do hex space? So I'm actually going to show you this. We're going to spend a bit of time and I'm just going to show you basically how to create an efficient train loop. This is, I think, more sexy and interesting than the general boring ones. Not that I think city block is boring, but I do think it's a bit boring. So therefore it is boring, and it is boring. So there we go. So I think there's nothing wrong with this, but that is far superior. I think you'll agree. It's just beautiful. So what I'm going to do is just sort of show you the process, because you don't need the blueprints for this, although you can always have them. They are in the Discord. Please join. That actually to create this is not as hard as you maybe would assume it would be. And I think it all kind of starts here. So in the Gleba book, and we are going to do a Gleba review, but for now I'm not going to include it. I'm just going to start with this. So everything stems from this, basically, nice and simple. And what this basically was is the junction. So as you can see, we've just placed that junction there, and if we rotate it, you see it then has the other side. And if we flip it, right, so I need to do bear with me, I need to do a bit of work. So this is where we have to just, I'm going to copy that, create a copy of this, and let me show you why. So all I did was just remove the blueprints, the signals, and then what we're doing is you press H, it basically flips it. So nice and simple, right? So then what you can do is just, well, basically do that. So eventually you get to then the next one. So you see how simple that was? It's basically that. And the only tricky bit was just really figuring out this. So let's just start right at the beginning. So a lot of it really comes from the fact that, in fact, I'll show you how I did it actually, because it's, you don't need to even build it there. I would build it in the scrubs of Nauvis, and I would say, well, my railway network is, hang on, something's being attacked, ugh, who cares, is roughly that wide. I can always check this with my train blueprints. Ah, so you see I did get it slightly wrong, so there we go. So that's about what you're looking to build. And then all I did was work out, and this is where, weirdly, these helped a lot. So as you can see, you can see all the different angles. If I do you see that, my brothers? Do you see it? You see all the different angles, basically. That's basically how I worked it all out. So just understanding that that is a thing, you then realize that, you know, you're trying to basically work out the angles that then make the hexagon. So if I come, maybe if I just use it here actually. So if I show here, you can see that by working that out, we were able to pick that angle there and that angle there. And then this really is just flipped, entirely flipped. So you can decide how big or how small you want this to be. Damn it, did I do? Bear with. Let's see if I go and back to Nauvis. So basically here we can just flip that. And you can make the hexagons pretty much as big as you would wish them to be. And you obviously have to make sure they line up. But you see you could have really big hexagon, really small hexagon. This is why I did octabase, similar sort of way really, because it's just a different angle. So really it's all about mathematics. So basically that's it. So the idea is that it's trying to kind of create something that makes sense, number one, and secondly, I think the key thing is to understand that you actually get more use of the space as well. I know that, again, it's tricky to explain really, but I think with the city blocks, what you basically get is what you see. You get a nice ordered grid and it kind of works. But I guess the thing with city block is you then feel that it's not very beautiful, whereas you compare it to what we have here. I think these are a bit small, so I think what I'm probably going to do is design now a bigger hexagon, because, I mean, for starters, we don't use railways that much on Gleba. Everything is usually double-headed train as well. So it's not huge trains. It's not. Ah, see, we even have a block. Good start. Why is that blocked? I think it's this is where things like this really become a problem. So he's stuck at a red there. We can put a red there. Yeah, you've got to be slightly careful with this. So I think that stuff. So I think, yeah, this is kind of exactly proof. I didn't know this was happening, by the way. You're going to be like, yeah, you knew that was there. I didn't. And it kind of proves my point that this is a bit small. So I think this is why building a slightly larger hexagon is going to be the better thing to do. Let's see. I don't know if we have a signal there. I think we need one there. Where is he going? So therefore, yeah, where are they going? You see the problem. I think it's these elevated rails as well. They have really caused issues. So let's see. So that is obviously going to block this grid here. So I think we probably need a signal there and a signal there. Wow, you can see the fun I have with signaling. Another one there we go. So you see, it's usually always something incredibly stupid, but so that train is now stuck. No, it's not. That train is now stuck. No, I think it's going to go. There we go. So there we go. So just one signal. It's because of these elevated rails. My desire to get this elevated railway in has caused issues. I think actually, and that was actually a design principle. If you've never seen the Gleba video, go watch it, because I think it's even in the long play section. It's all of them put together in like an hour. And who wouldn't want to watch an hour of me making a railway on Gleba? I mean, come on. What more interesting, exciting, urgent luncheon appointments do you have? Because that is like, well, that's just amazing. So let's maybe now build a slightly bigger one. So I think let's just take, in fact, we are going to do this on Nauvis just because it's a bit easier. And here we can sort of experiment. So if I just go and say, maybe about there, and maybe to around there. Now, the way that I tended to do city block was I would just work out this. So I'd work out the power grid and how it all kind of connects. So you got those as an example. I think already that's pretty poor. I think actually I've not done that in a very good way, because you want these to be absolutely spot on. So we'll come back to that. And so what you would do is you'd say, right, okay, that distance there, that distance. But because we now have legendary, I'm tempted to just do legendary distancing now here. So I think it goes a bit further. So you see, yeah, it does seem to go a bit further. Question mark, post no comments if I got that wrong. So I think we could go to there, let's say. So that's all wrong. Let's just fill it in, because I think that's probably in the wrong place. Let's put it there. So there we go. And that's obviously much bigger. So we can now basically start to, I need to find this blueprint. Let's just put it in the book. So let's go back Nauvis and swap that around. Oh, did I want to swap that around? I don't think I did actually. There we go. So this then puts, so if we made this sort of railway maybe a bit higher, about there. So then you can start, and then you could just copy this. This is where again I get in trouble. So I'm just going to remove the blue. That's the only downside, is you have to kind of mess about with it. So if I do H, you see it takes me here. And again, all we're wanting to do is then mirror 1, 2, 3. So if we do 1, and if that's there, again, we'll test this. 1 and 1. And all we need to do is fill that in with a, in fact, let's just use normal rail. So that takes me to about there. You see how I built it. I mean, once you built it once, you've got it. And let's go back here. So this is where, again, we should be able to marry up. So it's not entirely perfect. I think that's just because of life, but we can maybe try that. And then by this point, we can do that. So hopefully that makes a good amount of sense. So compare the old one to the new one. That's much more room for activities. And the fact that's quite big, but also it means you can have longer trains. It just works. So now then we need to obviously signal this. So we have to then make sure We signal, let's just do that, make sure we don't get that wrong. So we have signals, so we need to signal. So you see, that's all I do, just keep spinning it. One, and then spin, spin, spin. One. And we see there are some irregularities with the power network. And that's what we would then do. So I would then go and fix that so that then you could just do the whole thing and go do, 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 and it just connects every single way. So 1 and 2. You see there's obviously errata with the power poles, but that's fine, we can fix that. But that's pretty cool. I think that's quite big. So let's now go the other way and make it even more interesting and compelling. And let's go and bung a really small grid here. So let's maybe go there. Because again, you could do a micro factory. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? So then you have, right, so I think I need to do that one. Let me think about this. I think I need to be a bit careful here because, again, we don't need... Where did I put that one? So this is the one without, so I think we can use that one. So let's say we wanted to do a micro little cell. In fact, let's go even smaller. We could do something which is literally one. I mean, that would be quite funny, wouldn't it? Just one. Oh, it's not going to let me drop it. One train carriage width. So you could almost say it's kind of... In fact, I think if we drop a station, it does it. No, denied. But that's about a train and then a carriage. That'd be quite cool. Quite like the thought of that, because then you could sort of see, well, what could I do with that? And then let's... Is it that one? No, always get it wrong. It's this one. So you would say, let's be a bit generous, say that. Let's copy that. No, I lie. No, not that one either. So there we would have, right, I'm getting confused now. So let me just copy that. This is where signals really do become a pain. This is how basically to do it if you're cheating. Oh man, now I'm getting confused now. What am I doing wrong? So let me copy that. No signals. Well, that's what I've created. Oh well, so we'll figure that one out. I think it's this bit there. We need to understand what the difference is, what the length is there. So let's just do that and then paste. Interesting. It's not letting me do it. This is a great review. So let's get rid of that one. And then we go. So it's that kind of thing. So we're trying to figure out, is that about the same length? Maybe there. And let's see, does that spin around? Not sure that fits. Oh man. So there we go. That looks a bit wonky to me. How not to do it. Let's get rid of that one. Let's just stop that because we don't want that. And let's try again. So we go to Glebert. So we've got the hex rail. So we could just do 1. We flip that round. 2. We flip that round. 3. Flip it again. 4. Flip it again. 5. Flip it again. 6. So voila. So again, we could do something like this, but you're going to have real issues with trains, and so this is why I think you probably don't want to do that. But that could be interesting, couldn't it? You could have like a little square within a square, hexagon within a hexagon. But I think that's kind of the basis of what I wanted to do. So if I come back to Glubar, I think the beauty of this particular one, although yes, it is tight, I think, you know, unlike your mum, it's a bit like trying to kind of make sure it sort of fits. So if we wanted to extend this further, I think we probably could. And if I just show you, so if I go there, that's interesting. I've never noticed that. Oh, it's because we moved it. So there we go. So one of the things we can do is obviously just completely scalable and stackable. I think probably we're going to expand Gleber at some point, but the reality is I think we're getting to a point where honestly we could be looking at a new save now, or a new start, because I think when I look at Gleber, I'm so proud of it. And I think, you know, as my Spidertrons do their conga, I do really enjoy. I think this is the one place in the solar system where I quite honestly would just sit and watch it for days, because it just gives me such joy. So, and it's just the Hexagon. I think there's definitely something about the Hexagon that I quite like. And I think definitely when I'm looking at kind of octagon bases, they're interesting because you have like two different shapes to work with. I still think Hexagon, to me, it had a place in my heart. I think Gleber is easily the place I spent the most time in the entire game in, because spoilage just messed with me. It was the hardest thing to get right. And when I look at it now, I mean, I honestly would just sometimes load the save, sit down with a cup of tea and basically just watch the thing moving and working, because as I look at this, I can see this is maybe running a bit slow. Let's have a look. Do you know, I never managed. Oh, that's interesting. Why are these? Ah, there you go. We have found blockages. But that's interesting. So this is why we're running out of lube. It's interesting, isn't it? Like I tell you what, you find something every single time. So we could do a recycling loop. So here we have our beautiful, you know, kind of self-cleaning recycling loop. Maybe we set something up here. Let's just do that. Complete aside, apologies, I didn't mean to do this, but look, we can make that fit quite nicely there. I have to just do it to the side, so let's just do it there. And then what we can do is we can have something come under there, turn around, and then come back out. That would be, in fact, no, let's be even cleverer than that. Let's go and have these just connect to one, and then go that way under. Let's do it that way. Dirt. Oh no, dump, dump, and dump. So that looks quite nice, doesn't it? Don't think I've actually got any. Oh, hang on. Is that going to work? I'm not sure that's going to work. I am backing out of this. Well, no, we'll leave it. We'll build it. I'm concerned that's not going to work, but you see what I mean? Every time I look at something, like I was on Nauvis just a few days ago, and I realised, I mean, thank you to the person who commented on this, that I'm still building LDSs in factories. I should be building them in foundries, just because I've never upgraded it. It was something that I built initially, and I've left it. And the other one was red chips. Red chips. Where are my rouge chipios? There we go. Everything about this was complete nonsense, jibber-jash, flim-flam, and now it's actually working incredibly well. In fact, I'm just going to have a quick look at my red chip production. Let's see if I go back. So, can you tell when I did the upgrade? Can you guess when it was? I mean, I almost doubled chip production, because this was just like half starved. It had run on nonsense. There was no stack inserters here. It was just. Oh my gosh, it made me hang my head in shame. I was thinking of sending back my I'm a Factorio YouTuber badge to the elders of the internet, those who administer this fine thing. So I realised I was completely wrong. So I just think it's one of those things where as you start to dig into it, you see it. But let me show you some things. So with the hex base, we obviously have the basics. So this is pretty much the thing you're building, and I don't know why I'm building it, but anyway, we'll let the machines work. And then what I try to do is add things like elevated. So we now also have the ability to do something like this, which I think I'm definitely going to continue to look and try and do, because I saw a base on Reddit a long time ago that was just beautiful, and it had basically an a hexagon on the lower level and then a hexagon on the higher level, and I think they used a much bigger hexagon than me, so they could make it work. But I think that has merit, that has something interesting, exciting and engaging about it. So I definitely think that's worth looking at. But at the moment, the majority of, I think, what I've built is not entirely it's not entirely workable as an elevated rail, but I do think that would be pretty cool. But there we go. My view of it is hex bases still are the de facto brilliance. Octabases were interesting. I did enjoy building them, but I just think there's something about this that I think it came back to me as I was kind of just, messing about on Nauvis, trying to kind of make some more designs for some of the octagon base. It suddenly dawned on me, actually, one of the things I want to do is to really push what I've built on Gleba, because I do think, I think my most successful video as well, weirdly, and nothing to do with why I'm doing a video of this, but this is because it's a short, is this. People look at it and they're like, yeah, that looks really cool. I agree. I think this is why I love this place. So I think definitely this particular Hexagon railway build is pretty useful. So I will share this, but I think we're going to do a more in-depth dive into Gleba's book, because there's quite a lot here. So all of the defenses, for example, there's a lot here. And I think Gleba itself is such a huge topic. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. So there we go. This even had the elevated rail built into it. So if I do that, hopefully you can see that, it basically built this kind of elevated section of the rail as well. So I don't know, did we actually build any of those? I think we did. I think one or two of them somewhere, I can't remember where, maybe even have that elevated railway. Or did I remove it? Probably removed it. Nope, there we go. So the power station, for example, it has this elevated railway, does nothing, so it's a bit pointless. But you see how it connects there. That's such a simple and beautiful connection. I love that. I think that is exactly the kind of bases I want to make. That's kind of what I'm thinking for Vulcanus, is having stacks like blades of cellular production. And I think maybe that's it. Maybe we do reduce slightly the size of the hexagon, and we actually sort of try and build something a bit different. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. I say the blueprints are in the description, or if not, please join the Discord and ask for them, or have a look at the blueprint channel. And I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.